We are live. It is the Combatcast with the man they call Dave and Chevy, and we are going to be talking all kinds of fights from last week and what a fight night that was. And we'll be talking about the main event and co-main event for this week's fight night. But first, Chevy, tell people what we got coming up.
All right, December 15th, UFC 296, Edwards versus Covington, closing out the year with the UFC, giant pay-per-view. It's looking great. And then December 22nd, we're going to be doing a 2023 wrap-up show for you guys. Favorite fights, cards, all that sort of thing from the previous year. And then December 29th, we're going to do a preview show for 2024 of what we're looking forward to, the fights we want to see in the upcoming year.
All right, so some good stuff coming up. And yes, we had a big fight night card this past week, even a couple slam KOs, which we never get. We got two of them back to back.
Yeah, that was incredible. Awesome. The prelims really showed out for sure. Special shout out to Miesha Tate, who dominated her opponent and got that neck crank where her arm actually was like in the girl's mouth. Like she could pull her jaw off. She looked as good as I've seen her since before she retired for sure. And then also shout out to Clay Guida. He didn't get the win, but it was a very competitive fight. 41 years old, still has the best cardio in UFC. So shout out to those two legends.
Yeah, even Dana White said that Guida looked real good.
Yeah.
You notice. So, I mean, I don't think Clay's in danger of losing his job or anything yet. I think, in fact, that, I think Clay will probably be on UFC 300. I bet you
right. I think he said he wanted to fight on UFC 300. Put him and Jim Miller on there. Let's see it,
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
All right, let's get into this main card. Punahele Soriano versus Dustin Stoltzfus.
Yeah, Stoltzfus, impressive. Gets it done here. And, we'll see what the future holds for him. What do you think of the fight?
Yeah, he ate some good shots, but his takedowns were great. Feel bad for Soriano. He's probably going to get cut. You could see right after the fight, he's trying to be respectful, but it seemed like he kind of ran out of the cage, probably a bit emotional. Definitely needs to work on some sort of ground game because he definitely has power on the feet, but not too much on the ground. So good luck to him. And great job from Dustin. So let's move on.
Yeah.
Before we go through this, also, every single fighter on this main card that I wanted to win lost. So although it was a great card, I was pretty disappointed by the end of the night. But Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah, Brady looked dominant. Again, we thought Kelvin was going to shine here at welterweight. Not the case. Sean Brady looked dominant. In fact, kind of reminded me in some ways of Paul Craig, who was in his second fight at welterweight, but coming down a weight class, how Brendan Allen kind of dominated him, I thought, in the sense that these guys that are talented at weight classes above, when they come down this weight class, especially when fighters are coming down in weight, a lot of times it's definitely not as easy. It definitely seems it's easier almost to go up in weight a lot of times than it is to come down. And the struggle was real here for poor Kelvin.
Yeah, weight cuts are no joke for sure. So Kelvin did not look like vintage Kelvin for sure, but credit to Sean. He came back from that loss to Bilal looking better than ever. His grappling is tremendous. His top pressure, he just smothered Kelvin and didn't give him any room. So props to him. All right, let's move on to bantamweight fight. Rob Font versus Davison Figueiredo. Davison did the opposite of Kelvin and went up in a weight class.
And he did phenomenal. I mean, what can you say? That power is still there. Not often you see Rob Font getting rocked around like that on the feet. So Davidson was super impressive here. I want to throw a fight out there for you before you talk about, you talk about the fight and then I'll get your comment on this, but Peter Yan.
Yeah, Yan needs a fight for sure. And that's a good top level guy. Davison deserves to move up after, dominating Font basically. So, Figueiredo grappled a lot more than I anticipated he was going to. But like you said, what really stood out was his power. It definitely transferred to this higher weight class. We knew he had a really hard time cutting to flyweight, so it makes sense that he would look very, very dominant at bantamweight. So almost everything he hit Rob with solicited a large reaction from Rob. So I think he bit off a little bit more than he was ready for. So yeah, Peter Yan's a great matchup. That's a good shout out.
Absolutely. All right. We go
All
on.
right. Co-main, Jalen Turner versus Bobby Green.
All right. Jalen Turner, he's explosive. That's the one thing we noted about going into this. We thought Bobby might be a little more poised. Again, this was a real big what do we know this week, because Turner catches him early, puts him out, and then a horrible, horrible stoppage that even Dana White talked about and gave credit to this referee. He's normally a good referee, but bad night, and I guess the referee owned it too afterwards. He felt really bad about this situation. But a lot of unnecessary shots Bobby Green took. And a fight for Turner I have here. I always struggle with this guy's name, but Benoit Saint.
Denis?
Denis, yeah. I think that could be a fun fight.
Jesus. Really putting Jalen Turner through the ringer, It was Dan Hooker, then Bobby Green, and then the God of War. Like, yeah, that's a tough streak right there.
It's a fun fight.
Yeah. I really, really wanted to see Hooker versus Green. I still want to see that. Yeah, I knew Jalen was going to be a tough stylistic matchup for Bobby because Bobby's hands down shoulder roll defense is not a great matchup when somebody has reach and utilizes reach the way that Jalen Turner does. So Jalen actually hit the shot, the right hand that put Bobby down. It looked to me anyway that it bounced off Bobby's shoulder. So his defense was there, but he still got caught. Bounced off his shoulder, clipped him in the ear, and then when he went down, he was just belly down and couldn't get out. So, rough stoppage, but you can't win either way if you're a ref. He could have stopped it too late and people would be mad at him. So it's tough. I get it. But like you said before, Kerry Hatley, normally a good ref. So these things are going to happen. There's guys fighting in a cage. It's a split-second judgment call, and, they're going to make the wrong ones occasionally. That's what this is. Luckily, Bobby seems like he's okay for now, but there is a possibility that getting beat on like that could affect your jaw in the future. We know he has a pretty good chin, but we'll see going forward. Let's move on to the main event. Beneil Dariush versus Arman Tsarukyan.
Arman Tsarukyan, I didn't expect this kind of performance like right out of the gate. Dariush is tough, and back-to-back tough losses. Dariush, getting finished very similar here. Arman, there's not much to say when you see a performance like that. He looked on point and he was on fire, and before you know it's over. So it's very impressive. As far as the fight for him goes for next, it's kind of a tough situation because now there's that upper echelon of guys like Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, who I know they're trying to book the rematch with, Justin Gaethje, who's waiting, but that's really the type of fight he should probably get next. I don't know if he will.
Yeah, I'm huge fans of both Dustin and Gaethje, but they're giant gatekeepers for sure. They really are holding up the division. More so Dustin. We know he's ever since he fought Conor, he's a big guy. He only wants big fights or title fights. Gaethje did fight Fiziev, so respect to him for that. But both guys are really just holding up the top of the division. But hopefully Arman gets one of them. I would imagine it's more likely he gets Gaethje. Dustin sits for, I don't know, not a title shot. I don't know what he's waiting for. But
that's the one thing about Dustin is you would think that if Dustin could say, hey, if you win this fight, you get a title shot, he might take it. because Gaethje's in a position now where he could almost get the next title shot away if something happens to Charles. But
yeah, personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Gaethje ended up getting the shot instead of Charles. I know that's not like worked out or anything, but to me, I feel like Gaethje earned it with that head kick over Dustin. But as far as Dustin, he probably waits out. Maybe Nate comes back and we get to see that fight because those two guys really hate each other. That might be a UFC 300 scenario or something like that.
That's true.
Anyway, back to this fight with Arman and Beneil. Arman managed to KO him with only 1 foot on the ground. He threw that knee that missed, and while his foot was still in the air, he clipped Beneil with just 1 foot on the ground and put him out. So it raises a few questions, like, is Beneil's chin gone? Like, I see a lot of people saying that 2 finishes back to back. I see a lot of people saying that, but also it was very early in the fight, and sometimes guys need to get touched a little bit for their brain to kick into that fight or flight response. Right. And so if you just got hit too hard too early, just got put out, that's a possibility too. Who really knows? I just think that the next one is crucial for Beneil and his future. Most important fight in his career, most likely. So hopefully he gets a good matchup and he can get a win.
Let me see if Paddy Pimblett beats Tony Ferguson and they give Beneil next.
Oh my God. Yeah. Sign me up for that. I would love that. They fight the same way. Both of them have good jiu-jitsu and wild striking. Let's see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Tony loses, though.
Right, and that's not a done deal. I'm with Chael on that one. We have yet to see Paddy, really beat anybody that significant.
For sure.
Right. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. I don't hate Paddy like a lot of people do.
Right.
People in our friend group, not big fans of him or whatever, but I don't hate him, but I'm definitely rooting for Tony in that fight. All right, let's move on and talk about this upcoming week's card. There's a couple fun fights on the not the prelims, but the undercard rather. The prelims are a bit soft. I don't think I recognize hardly anyone. It's fight in China, so they're kind of catering to the Asian market. But on the undercard, one of my favorite fighters, Junyong Park, nicknamed the Iron Turtle, versus Andre Muniz. That's an excellent fight. The Iron Turtle's is one of the best nicknames ever. He's a fun fighter. And then Nasrat Haqparast versus Jamie Mullarkey. That's an excellent matchup too. 2 guys that go to war in almost every fight.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this co-main. First of all, this main card starts at 10 p.m. Eastern. So might be watching this on Sunday. I'm working fan, so we get tired,
Yeah.
But let's talk about this co-main. Anthony Smith versus Khalil Rountree Jr.
All right, man. This is a good one. Anthony Smith, 37-18, 20 KOs, 14 subs, 3 decisions. He's only won 1 out of his last 3, though. So he's going to be 1 in this victory. Khalil Rountree, 12-5-1, 8 KOs, no subs, 4 decisions. He's on a 4-fight win streak. This is a good fight here. I feel like Rountree hasn't beaten someone the level of an Anthony Smith yet, but he just looks so damn good at times when he's on fire and he's on point. I think this is going to be a breakout fight for him. I like Anthony Smith, but I feel like Smith is kind of on the decline. Again, just saying as a fan, I could be wrong, but I feel like he's on the decline, and I think Khalil Rountree, this might be a chance for him to really break through and get a victory here. I'm going to pick Rountree by TKO round 2 because these guys are dogs, and they're going to get at it, and it's going to be one of those firefights.
Yeah, Anthony's much better on the ground, but I don't think it gets there. I think we're of a similar mind here. I don't think Anthony has the durability anymore. He has a lot of fights, so right. I don't think he has the durability to withstand Khalil's striking. Like you said, when he is on, he's really on. Anthony's still super tough, but I think Khalil beats up his legs and body in the first 2 rounds, and then when he's compromised, he gets TKO'd in round 3.
All right.
All right, move on to the main event. Song Yadong versus Chris Gutierrez.
All right, Chris Gutierrez is 25-2, 9 KOs, 1 sub, 10 decisions, 8-2-1 in the UFC. He's won 5 of his last 6, including a retirement fight that he beat Frankie Edgar in. Song Yadong, 27-1-1, 9 KOs, 3 subs, 8 decisions. Performance of the night 5 times. He's tied Eddie Wineland for 5th most knockouts in UFC bantamweight division history. This guy, I can't think of a boring fight Song Yadong has ever been in. This is a good matchup here. Real pick 'em. I'm gonna lean towards Song Yadong. I think just being in his home country and everything, he's gonna be extra motivated. He's durable. I'll say again, this one's gonna probably end up being a dogfight. Goes a little bit later. I'll say TKO round 3.
Yeah, Chris is a great striker, but Song's explosive speed and power is basically unmatched in bantamweight. So that with the fact that Team Alpha has his grappling looking great now, I think he's primed for this tough test. I think he's going to get a decision win, though. Chris is very tough.
Yeah. Now, before we end the show and go to the future, I just thought of something I want to talk about this week. So bonus feature, because I didn't tell Chevy about this. Mike Perry, Eddie Alvarez, bare knuckle fighting. If you haven't seen it, this was just a real display of violence. 2 rounds of violence. Mike Perry is a beast in bare knuckle fighting. It just seems like this was his home, and it was always meant to be here. I think his star power has gone up since joining bare knuckle fighting. I don't know if he'll do MMA again or what, but I think I don't know if I would, because I think this is what he belongs at now. This is what he's best at, and beating Luke Rockhold and now Eddie Alvarez, quite a stamp on this guy's career.
Not just beating them, he made them quit in round 2, both of them. Like he broke Luke Rockhold's teeth. This feared great striker. Mike
Several is bigger than
yeah. He's just a dog, like in every sense of the word. Tailor made for bare knuckle. I know he called out, I think, Anthony Pettis because that's a name, I guess, and he kind of moves around promotions. He says he just wants to fight someone that's not going to quit. So. Shout out to that. Anthony Pettis, I'm sure he's down. He's down for anything. So, Mike Perry's the bare knuckle GOAT at this point. I pick him against anyone.
Another name I wouldn't mind seeing. I know he's not around these days, but I'd be curious if he was going to do bare knuckle. Darren Till. Given their history.
I don't know. I don't like his chances.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has the chin for bare knuckle.
But the chin would be what I'd be concerned about. Yeah. And I don't know. Again, like you, I don't know who's beating Mike Perry at bare knuckle. But
I don't see it.
If you haven't seen it, try to find it online or whatever. It was a hell of a fight.
Yeah. Excellent. Shout out to Mike Perry.
All right. What's up, what we got coming up?
All right. December 15th, UFC 296, Edwards versus Covington, welterweight belt, wrapping up the year for the UFC. And then December 22nd, we'll be wrapping up 2023 wrap-up show for you guys. And then December 29th, we'll be doing the 2024 preview show for you guys.
All right, guys. So look forward to all that fun. In the meantime, enjoy the fights this week.